The perfect chest for bodybuilding, to me, I always think of Arnold. I mean, was there ever a better chest in the history of the sport? I don't think so, but what that was component of is complete fullness right here along the collarbone that just bulges out, wide and flaring. In other words, it flattens out right out here, right out into the things, and of course in the side tricep and everything, it just seems to explode out of the body with cross striations all through it. Get a drink, keep thinking about it. One of the things I also do is I'm not looking around the gym trying to look to start up conversations or anything while I'm doing my set. Oftentimes, for years, I wore a ball cap down over my eyes so I wouldn't make eye contact. I'm not doing that to be antisocial. I'm doing it so people know when I'm in the gym, I'm here to work out. Once I'm done the workout, then I'll go hang out at the juice bar and shoot the breeze or whatever. That's great. But when you're doing your workouts, you know, you focus on your workouts. This is serious business. You know, there's a saying that I learned from one of my favorite authors, Harv Eker, and how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're not getting the results that you want out of your training or out of your life, think about how you're approaching everything. Are you taking your growth seriously? Are you really thinking about what you're doing? Are you investing the time, the money, and the education into getting the best? I mean, I focused for 15, 20 years on just this every single day. I'm reading information, I'm learning new techniques, I'm doing everything I can to be focused. Because if I don't, someone else is doing it, right?
Notice how he's pulling back the shoulder blades on the top and contracting.
One of the things too is, again, Matt was saying, when you come up, don't just come up. Throw the shoulder blades back. So when you're in here, you're flexing all those muscles nice and tight, and then you're lowering your head.
Yeah, that activates a lot more muscles.
Absolutely. So many guys have poor back development because they've never learned to really flex the back. And all the little ancillary muscles along the spine. You don't want those nice thick columns down the back.
If people don't stretch their backs enough when they're doing exercise and they're not flexing enough.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest mistake.
Totally. On the pulling movements, the rolling movements, you want to stay in the stretched position, or go through the stretched position in the full contraction. The one thing about this exercise, it's a little different.
Yep.
Because you're staying tight through the whole movement. You're not looking for a stretch at the bottom.
No, not on this one.
You know, in this movement, you're going through, this is why it's a foundation routine, it's why we throw it in there. Because we're looking to keep the tension from the whole body. The whole body's firing intensely. You know, it's just, sometimes you'll be shaking afterwards, you could be twitching. You know, I've fallen down and passed out many times and lied on the ground writhing in pain and stuff. I mean, that's normal, and almost every guy that has really pushed their body to the limit on a foundation routine has gone to that zone. You know, maybe you'll throw up. These things do happen. You know, they're normal. You eventually get past it. You can train past it, but if you happen to have a bit of a weak constitution to start, or you're actually just pushing to your limit, these things may happen.
You know, one tip when you're doing power deadlifts or squats is, you know, don't eat for at least 2 hours, if not even 3 hours before.
Yeah,
I think that that contributes to the puking.
Absolutely. Well, especially if you're not taking enzymes.
Especially if you're not taking enzymes, absolutely.
You know, and let's face facts. If you're doing this routine and you're not taking enzymes, you're getting about 30% of the growth that you could be getting out of it. So, you know, you really want to evaluate where you're putting your effort in. So, and I'm not just saying that, you know, to try and sell you something. I mean, go read Dr. Howell's Enzyme Nutrition. You read that book and you're going to be very clear about the power of enzymes. So,
possibly one of the greatest health books ever written.
I think so. I think so, and it's gone largely unnoticed by the medical community, but you know, the testimonials don't lie, and every single person that's been taking the Masszymes have noticed They're just like, I'm never getting off these things. I mean, I feel so good. What does the perfect shoulder development look like? Well, number one, it's as wide as possible. We're talking nice big caps on each side. Clear, cookie-cutter definition between the front, the side, and the rear delts. A nice full roundness that is available, so when you look at the side, there's actual thickness to the deltoid. And in a back double biceps, you can clearly see each of the components. That, to me, is the ultimate shoulder development. Of course, you want to couple that with the cross striations and absolute total hardness. You know, there's nothing like working out hard in the gym. You start getting deeper into the routine, and the endorphins start to kick in. You know, you get this nice sense of well-being. And, you know, back when I was younger, I had a lot of challenges in life. You know, and things weren't always that easy. And I didn't have a lot of control of the situation. And maybe you can relate to that. Maybe there's things in your life that you can't control, or things that you don't like, or you know, life happens. One thing that you can always control is the effort and what you're doing in the gym. So getting in that gym starts to become a very empowering aspect. And if you look at athletes in general, they have a better general outlook in life. They are more successful, and they have a more full and enjoyable life. And it's simply because they learn to empower themselves by changing themselves in the gym. And you know, weightlifting or bodybuilding, coming to the gym, you know, whether you're competitive or not, it doesn't matter. It's about coming in. It's never about what happens on stage or in a contest. Those are afterthoughts. It's about the day-to-day routine of coming in here and doing something for yourself, building your body, taking care of yourself. And it's amazing how everything around in your life starts to change over time. And you take back some of that control. And when you're in control of your life and control of your actions, you start building confidence, and then you can take that outside and apply it to your business. You can apply it to your relationships. You can apply it to your social settings. There's all sorts of ways you can apply this in your life, and it's extraordinarily beneficial. You know, and then all of a sudden you're in a place that you never imagined. And you're like, how did I get here? And it's almost uncanny that, I didn't know 20 years ago that this was what's going to happen to me. And I read all the stuff like Arnold's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding and Education of a Bodybuilder. And he used to talk about the mind, and he used to talk about the positive attitude and about self-discipline. At the time, those were just kind of words and concepts to me. But as I followed that path throughout my life, then I realized, hey, and saw the powerful effects of it. I was like, hey, this changes. This does work, Here we are today on the other end of the camera. One more round of these, back to the focus, eyes forward, tighten up, and let's hit it.
Notice weight's back, never bend there. It always was straight as a board.
All right, so we're going to get set up in the next exercise, and we'll see you back there in just a moment. The question comes up, what's the purpose of the foundation program? And this is one that you cannot overlook, especially as a beginning or an intermediate athlete. It's about putting on the right amount of muscle in the right places. In other words, it's developing your capacity to grow in the critical areas of your body, as well as retraining your body to handle an increasing load or training levels so that you can maximize your progress over the long term. And so skipping through this routine would be a total mistake by anyone. And you want to make sure you get inside the foundation training and start reaping the incredible results that can occur when you start cranking up the volume in the format that we've outlined here. Now we're doing back to pull down to the front, so same type of thing. Explosive type lifting.
arch in his back. Always there.
So one of the things is when you're training is you want to hit the range of success. Okay, and so again in foundation training, we're not going to failure. We're going just to we notice the force decrement, and then we go on to the next set. So your first few workouts, it's going to take a little bit of time to adjust to right those sweet spot for what it is for you. But once you get it down, that's what's important of keeping a journal. By keeping the journal, you can tell where your weights are each week. So you're not trying to figure it out from week to week, or what did I do last week, or what did I do last month. You know, you want to know before you start your workout.
And psychologically, that's such a difference going from failure to range of success.
Exactly. So making sure you have that down. So we're and taking enough rest as the oxygen builds up. You know, so for you, if you haven't got the max VO capacity, the oxygen carrying capacity, at first your rest sets might be quite long. My VO2 max is pretty good, so I recover fairly well between sets. I can work at a little faster pace. Point is find the set that's coming for you. So I like to think I want to have about 90% of my air back. So I'm a little bit, I notice I'm a little bit labored in breathing, but not too much when I start the next set. Just so I keep on sequence.
Of course, as you progress your workout, you might get a little more deeper in the oxygen debt, especially after doing those power deadlifts.
Exactly. So as the sets work on and the workout goes on, that's where you're going to have to exert a little mental toughness, because you're going to be pushing the limits, you're out of breath, and you're really starting to feel it. So, you know, that's where it helps to be mentally focused, so that you know what's happening between your sets, right? You stay in the game. You know, they always talk about it in sports. You know, is his head in the game? Get your head in your game. It's really important. Notice as the force decrement, there's a little bit of spacing in between each rep there. As the workout starts to move on, you notice there's a little pause. So I'm not trying to force the thing. I get a little pause, get a little bit more air, and then we go back again to our deep breathing that we've talked about in the other tapes. That's double inhale, double exhale. So
I actually learned that technique in my swimming class in university before we did the underwater distance swimming. It's very effective.
see, and what that does is starts opening up those lower sacs that you're not good. Practicing breathing is very important. You can practice even outside the gym. You know, doing holds, like practice inhaling slowly for 20 seconds, hold for 20 seconds, exhale slowly for 20 seconds. Start building up your oxygen capacity. In a good posture. Don't walk around like this all the time. Keep your chest up, back flexed, open up your rib cage so you're getting oxygen in there. All right. So we got that sequence. We're going to set up the next exercise and continue on. We'll see you back here in just a moment.